I don't know. Politics here is a bit crazy, but right now I'm in a battle with the government. So that'll be fun too. They approved me getting machine guns, but they didn't approve me getting all the machine guns I asked for. So I am fighting them for more machine guns.
I didn't even notice. So, like, what's the story behind this? Because I have not seen your channel for quite a while. I mean, what's the story?
I do firearm content. So basically, there is a provision in our law that allows for like, you know, video, or for having firearms for film and video. And so I qualify because, you know, I've got a YouTube channel. I do substantial stuff, and, you know, it's not you know, it's not like I've just started this channel and have like 8 viewers or something. It's a substantial, you know, substantial undertaking at this point. But so the problem is they approved it, but they put a bunch of restrictions on it. So I'm fighting to get some of those restrictions lifted.
Is that why you made the video? I have seen the video in regards to freedom of expression. Is that why?
Which one? There's lots of them.
let me actually go and be sure about this. Hold on. That's not right. Hold on. Let me actually just. I watched it last night. Actually, it's in regards. The police don't understand your rights. I think that was the freedom of expression where you're talking about.
The police not understanding your rights could be like a third of my videos.
No, this one was particularly about prostitutes, about how someone turning their heads. So the police didn't have anything to, like, you know, book them on, you know.
Oh yeah, they were trying to shut them down for stunting on the basis of people might look at, you know, the women by the road, and it's like, no, that doesn't work. Because otherwise they'd also have to charge like every person who puts up a billboard. And the court was not terribly in favor of their argument. The court found it to be hilarious, but not good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also here, what, like, I need like a woman arrested for assault with weapon, a water gun. What's the story behind that?
So now I need to do an update video on that one, because basically this, what happens is this woman is apparently being a bit of a jackass, although she says that she is, she says, I'm not, I'm just, all I was doing was playing with this water gun and I accidentally sprayed the neighbor. But it looks like the police theory is that it was intentional. The problem that they have is that a water gun isn't a weapon. So even though the police think that she was being a jerk, it still doesn't make the water gun into a weapon. So, you know, and it just, when the police do stuff like that, it becomes hard to take them seriously, because obviously getting sprayed with a little bit of water isn't, you know, isn't to the same level of being stabbed or, you know, stabbed or shot, or, you know, even having a gun pointed at you. But here they are, they're using that charge, and it's just like, come on, guys, you can do better than that. But that's the police sometimes.
And also, I didn't know that you made the Toronto Star in 2021. Was it 2021? What's the story behind you being the Canadian Grocer that's putting metal security tags on safe to prevent theft? So, what is going on?
That one was kind of entertainingly ridiculous, because I just posted to Twitter, and like this reporter reaches out and is like, hey, can I interview you? And I'm like, seriously? Okay, I guess. But basically Walmart had, they put little security tags on their steak, and then they wanted to, their security guy wanted to search me on the way out. And I was like, yeah, no, that is not going to happen. because you don't have to put up with that in most circumstances if it's just the and I say in most circumstances, like not legal advice, etc. But if all they've got is just that the security sensor went off, usually they don't actually have enough to usually they don't have enough to actually detain you for that. So anyway, I had this officer, or the security guard rather, who was like, hey, you need to sort of show us what's in your pockets here. And I'm like, yeah, that's not actually going to be a thing, but best of luck with that.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that you can actually do that. So if you pay for an item and the security alarm goes off, you actually have a legal right to just keep walking and not like.
Well, again, this is going to be very country dependent, right? Because different places have different rules. But here they're required to have sufficient evidence to actually detain you, right? They can't just detain you just because they want to. And so it's not typically sufficient evidence just because those alarm things go off, because those alarm things are notoriously unreliable. They go off all the time. They is it the most common reason why those things go off isn't somebody stealing. It's actually that's a small fraction of the alerts they get. The usual reason that it goes off is that just that somebody's forgotten to take one off, or maybe there was a sticker that was left on the floor and you stepped on it. These kinds of things. But they want to use that as a pretext to look through your pockets and whatever else. And it's like, well, you need something a little more nailed down than just maybe. And that's really where they often run into problems, is that they've got it down to a maybe you're stealing something, but they need something a little bit more than that if they want to arrest you. So, but again, this depends on country, because some countries they can search you for that, and some different places. So don't just rely on, hey, this is what Runkle is doing in Canada in one specific set of circumstances as as a way to sort of run your life, because it could be you got it wrong.
Almost Karen Reed. What did you make of that case? Because there's a shooting that just happened, and I've seen something that was quite interesting. But we'll go into that a bit later. But what did you make of the Karen Reed case?
So they have these like 40 millimeter launchers that they use in for riot control, and what they really ought to do in Canton is just load those things up with like build a shotgun shell that's just full of pink slips that have adhesive on them, and just go through the office and shoot those at everyone that they can see, because that police force is so awful. And they really have to do something to get it under control, because really what that case comes down to in huge part is just they just really don't know what they're doing in terms of actually launching these cases. It's so awful how they investigated and how they proceeded with these. And I can't say for certain that she didn't do it. I can't say but the problem is that nobody can, because they conducted such an incompetent investigation that it's just like, how do you know what actually happened here? It's insane. And in a better world, there'd be a whole lot of people who are fired right now, but sadly, that's not the world we're living in.
So, like, in regards to especially the Karen Reed case, were you surprised then that they couldn't acquit Karen Reed? Like, first and foremost, were you thinking that she should be acquitted, or did you think that she was guilty of something?
Oh, those are two different questions. They're not really one question. Okay. I don't know whether she's guilty, and I don't think anyone else does, but she should be acquitted, because I don't see how they can possibly get to proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And the problem is like the whole opening of Karen Reed was framed should be a ridiculous, or like it should just be ridiculous. It should be something that they can deal with in like 5 seconds and it's over, it's done. Nobody cares about this.
Like Robert Tellis, like that trial.
Yeah. The problem is that it remained as an entirely plausible argument, throughout that trial. And I'm going, how is it that this actually makes sense as an argument? This should be a situation where just everybody is going, no, this is dumb, move on. But that's not where we were. And it's just absolutely insane to me that we end up with this trial that where that's legitimately on the table. Like the people who are saying, Karen Reed is framed are not, they're not cranks. They're not like weirdo whack jobs. It's just, this is an entirely possible thing. So, but I wasn't there. I can't say for certain what happened, but I can say that I don't think the police have it solved. And that, if I was in the jury, I'd just be walking out of there saying, I'm not convicting on anything. Goodbye. And if I was running that police force, I would absolutely be just, it would be a fire sale. There'd be just, everybody must go, because I just don't see how they maintain legitimacy in the face of this, right? How do you go and you tell the public we're doing a good job, we're out here protecting you, when you've got this going on? I think a lot of people walked out of that, and if you're in Canton, you might feel that you need protection from the police, not protection by the police. So it's a bad situation, right? And it's really shining a light on the fact that, it's not just Canton. More and more people are concerned that their police departments are not necessarily serving them, but that in fact, we have this notion, when you're a kid in school, you'll get this notion of, the police are always right, and the police are, sort of these superhuman, they're always out there to do the right thing. And the problem is that police are just people, and people suck sometimes. And unfortunately, the police, as a result of that, suck sometimes. So you just, it's frustrating.
Yeah. So in that case, does a mistrial in that in the current rephrase, does that strike you as odd then that they reached a mistrial rather than, because I did not personally see what they could have been confused over. The investigation was kind of botched up from the beginning. So for me, that's Karen Reed's due process already violated. I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology there, but what I'm trying to say is that essentially, if you haven't done a competent investigation, then there should really be no trial, in my opinion. What do you think?
The difficult thing on this one is that ultimately we have a difficult time with just people are inclined to believe police, and also it really hamstrung the defense that they were unable to say who the FBI investigators were from, because the FBI investigators, what we know from Turtle Boy's investigation, is apparently the jurors thought that those were hired by Karen Reed's team. And so they thought that those people were biased, and they basically ignored them, which, had they known that those were part of an independent FBI investigation, I think that really might have that really might have changed the equation, right?
Right.
And it really might have been that they would go, oh, yeah,
I did not
yeah,
know that.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is it's hard to get acquittals. It's just difficult to do because people, juries often have the reasoning of, if you're not guilty, then why are you sitting in the guilty person's seat? And, like, all these cops say you're guilty. So, like, are you saying the cops are liars? And the thing is they're like, yes, we are. But juries are reluctant to accept that. Juries are reluctant to consider that. So, yeah.
So in that case, what did you make? Because there was one information. There was one thing that came out of the trial that was very interesting to me, and that was the Selbright report. And it goes into what you said about it should have been laughed out of court the minute that they said frame, but it became more credible. What did you make of the Selbright analyst? I mean, the person that said that basically they found that the police department did not update their firmware in regards to the Selbright. Do you think that's going to have any ripple effects in future cases? Like, do you think that might that might cause a due process problem for other cases?
I mean, the thing that you run into is that digital forensics is very difficult. And often, I think most people have a hard time telling accurate information from BS information with digital forensics. Because how do you know, right? Like, how do you know which information is good versus which isn't? So I think that is that's going to be an ongoing concern with lots of different stuff, because you don't know, right? So until you figure that out, it's it's going to be a bit of a challenge. And the average person just doesn't have the ability to, and I mean, I say the average person, I mean me too, right? I don't know which of those experts was accurate or correct, if any of them were. But at the end of the day, I go, well, if I don't know this, then how does anyone proceed on this? So it's a challenge that I guess is sort of the end point on all of this is it's a challenge. Yeah.
Okay. So
and it's going to be a challenge for police forces for a long time. And the thing is it also works both ways. I think there's probably a lot of people who've been convicted on the basis of evidence that the juries were told was great evidence, and that in actual practice might have been a little sketchy. So,
okay.
Yeah.
There is a case going on. Well, a shooting just happened. Have you heard of the Sheriff Stines shooting recently?
Are you talking about the judge or which shooting?
Yeah, in Lecter County, Kentucky, there was the judge that got shot. Judge.
Yeah.
I just forgot his name, but Sheriff Stines shot him in his chambers after a conversation that they had.
It's wild.
Yeah. So now, it is wild, and there was something that came out of that case, and that was I'm gonna link it to the current Reed case. But essentially, what happened here is basically it says the lead county prosecutor Matt Butler described an outpouring of sympathy as he recused himself and his office from the investigation, citing social and family ties to the Mullins. We all know each other here. Anyone from Lecter County will tell you that Judge Mullins and I married sisters, and that we have children who are first cousins but act like siblings, Butler said in a statement from his office. For that reason, amongst others, I have already taken steps to recuse myself and my entire office. So in regards to this case, and we're going to talk a bit more about it because I do want to go into it with you. But in regards to this case, do you think that this is something that should happen with Procter and the entire Karen Reed trial? Because to me, this seems like they know that they will take the investigation if they were to continue.
The instant that one of the allegations was, of this, frame job, I would have brought in an external prosecutor if I was making that decision. That's just how I'd have done it. Just as an example, a defense lawyer who, a friend of mine, although I haven't talked to him in years, a guy by the name of Justin Sidhu. He made the news because he was accused and then later convicted of trafficking drugs into the remand center, which is, the jail. So what is it? When he was charged, because he was a local defense lawyer, they brought in a prosecutor from British Columbia, a neighboring province. Like not just another city, but another province entirely, which, for the Americans out there is like bringing somebody in from the next state. And that prosecutor ran the trial because they just didn't want any accusation or any allegation that there was any favoritism or prejudice. And the thing is, it costs them very little to do that, right? They pay the that person's wages for that time, which it's just their standard rate, and they'll pay for flights and accommodation and that sort of thing. So there is some expense to it, but it's not like it's breaking the bank or anything like that. But it's absolutely the right call, because then at the end of it, nobody can say, "Oh well, he got convicted because of, this animosity towards him," or something like that. It's that is just off the table. And that's exactly where you want to be, right? You want to be in this situation where nobody can say, "Oh yeah, the reason why he went to jail was because, because the prosecutors just don't like him." So and I'm like, why wouldn't you do that, right? Why? What's the cost to that? What did it cost them? It cost them nothing.
Right.
So,
right. And this
not nothing in like a real sense, but like it's not that expensive. Bring somebody in.
Yeah, like that was the main thing because I saw how difficult the prosecution was even making it for themselves in the Karen Reed case by not recruiting themselves. Like, do you think that they should have? Because the relationship between the Alberts and the McCabe's, it was too tight. It was a very tight. But they tried to downplay it. Do you think that they should have recruited themselves in this case?
Yeah, and I think that the retrial of this one at this point has to be in another town, right?
Right.
So it's tough, right? People hate this notion that and I mean there are practical reasons why we normally try to keep a trial in the same town. But in this case, I think it's got to go somewhere else, right? It just has to. So,
do you think that there would be a retrial, though? Do you think that would happen? I mean, what more can?
Oh, they're going hell for leather on it so far. Oh, wow. So far, all indications are that they are planning a retrial, and there's just no indication that they're not planning to do anything other than just full speed ahead. So,
fair enough.
Sorry, what was that?
No. I said, fair enough. I did not know.
Oh yeah.
that they were actually. I thought they would have given up because they have exhausted. I mean, they cannot exactly tell a different kind of narrative now. Like they kind of have to go with what they already have. So,
I
what
mean,
more?
if it was me, I would, I would want to just abandon it myself, but I would have abandoned it ages ago. I don't, this is not a situation where it's just, I don't know that their actions make sense. So, and that's even if you think that she did it, right? Because just because you think she did it, if you do, doesn't mean that she's going to be convicted. And so that's, I just look at it and I'm going, what are you chasing here? But no, they're very keen. They're, all indications are that they want to go full speed ahead on this. And that's where that is. So